Oh, hello. I'm so sorry. I've managed to add what we're going to be working on and not my goofy face. Good morning or good afternoon. Hopefully, not too late in the evening for y'all. Hello. If you're just joining us out of the ether and mix of the web, I'm Jess. And we're about halfway through a free web development bootcamp that we're running with Free Code Camp and my co-teacher, Ramon, who's really the nice teacher. I'm the mean one. If you're just joining us now for the first time, you say, no, wait. What do you mean halfway through? There's two things I really want to push on you. So this bootcamp is just some extra materials added to the Free Code Camp curriculum. There's no deadlines. Your work will never go away. And these videos will never go away. I mean, for as long as the world and the internet sticks around. Um, so even if you are just joining us now, it's going to be just fine to get caught up. These videos aren't going to go away. You're not going to be in trouble for being late. If you want to get some help, our Discord's at bit.ly bwc-discord-invite, and we'll go ahead and let you in. And yeah, let's go ahead because today we're going to do something. Oh, heck. There we are. Everything's fine. Today we're actually going to do something super hard. And I'm so sorry where I said, welcome new learners. This is fine. We're going to have an easy time. But today's lesson is about your CSS besties and the nicknames you set for your CSS besties. So we're going to come into learn more about CSS pseudo selectors by building a balance sheet. And this one's super hard. So we can use CSS pseudo selectors to change specified HTML elements, but that doesn't give us a ton of info. What does that mean? What is a pseudo selector? So let's start the project. Oh, hello, lovely people on the internet. Look at y'all. So we're going to build this. And the reason I think this one is super difficult is we're going to use tables for the first time. And we're going to learn about pseudo selectors. So let's start coding. Actually, and the thing is, I just told y'all that I'm the mean teacher and Ramon's the nice teacher. If you've been with us for the last 2 weeks, you know how to do this. And even if you don't, I'm still not going to do it for you because I'm mean. So we've got step 1 where we're doing our setup. I'm going to skip ahead to step 8. And I'm doing this intentionally to sort of let you experiment on your own, but also because I can only hang out with y'all for about an hour today. So I'm skipping ahead to where we're looking at tables for the first time. So here, let's look at what we've got. So we've got a lot, but the structure of our stuff set up. We've got our meta tag. We've got our title and a link to our CSS. We've got our body and main set up. And then we've got some sections and spans. Okay, and some divs. And here it says we're going to be using HTML tables. Cool. And they use the caption elements to describe what the table is about. The caption element should always be the first child of the table, and we can position it using the caption side CSS property. Let's add a caption element to our first table. So here we've got a table tag that's already been started for us. It's not going to hurt us. We're going to add a caption to this. I don't think caption is self-closing, so let's try that. Give it the text assets. Okay. Doesn't look much like a table, but it gave us that little green line we secretly want. So let's bop on ahead. So these look a lot like our HTML elements we've used the whole time, but they're within sort of it's just my little cat son yelling. The T head and the T body are like the head and body of an HTML document, but the document we're talking about here is just the table. So we're going to add a T head and a T body below our caption because it said our caption comes first. Okay. And let's do this as well. I'm very low-key confident that might just work. It doesn't show us anything yet, but there's nothing in here. So I think that's working just fine. Everything's just fine. Ooh, the table row element. So this feels both like setting up our HTML document, but it also feels a little bit like an unordered list, doesn't it? Or an ordered list. Let's create so that a TR creates a row, a TD creates a cell, and a TH creates a header cell. So let's create a new row by making a TR element. And this feels very esoteric, doesn't it? Very mysterious. And you might say, Jess, I have no idea what you're talking about. I say, oh, me. Usually I don't know what I'm talking about either, so that's fine. But here, it doesn't feel like it yet, but I've promised we've made an imaginary invisible row. And here we want a TD element. Oop. That's inside our row. Okay. And there's nothing in that yet. Yeah, just adding these dots just so we could see. Okay. So I wouldn't have believed if it was just showing us nothing. But now that we've put some dots in here, we can see that these are in a row, but they'd be in a row anyway with HTML. But we're seeing them spaced out like they're part of a table. Oh, wait. At a TD. Oh, a TD followed by 3 THs. So I'm just doing that wrong, which, you know what? We wanted one. Hello, lovely people just showing up. Format our document. So we wanted to create a table row. Okay. Then add a TD element for a data cell, and then 3 data header cells. Okay. I'm going to add dashes here so we can see. They're much more bold than I thought. Are they much more bold than by default? Then, oh, they are bold by default. So we want 3 headers. I don't know if this will pass because we put some dots in it, but it passes. They don't mind the dots at all. And this was just to sort of feel that these are being laid out in a table, but at the same time, we're getting some weird, cool formatting. Let's go on to our next challenge. And of course, the bootcamp is always free. Of course, free code camp's free. It's in the name. But they are a registered nonprofit. So if you are able to donate and if you have the money, don't you give up money you don't have. It's a nice thing to do. So within our new table header elements, we're going to put a span inside those. I would give them the years. And I think we might just do this just to see how it feels. Let's do just a little bit more. And then I'm also going to abandon you halfway through tables. I'm just being the meanest possible teacher today, partially because I like to be mean and partially. So we're going to have a span in each of our TH elements, a class that is set to screen reader only here. Okay, so what this is going to do is this is going to give screen readers a little bit more information about what's going on. Let's get a span inside each one of these. Actually, type correctly. And what did we say? Saying a class of screen reader only here. Okay, we can do that. Class here is equal to, copy and paste it to be rubbish. Not rubbish, to conserve energy. Just rearranging the document. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this because I want it inside each of our TH elements. And so far, we're not seeing a single thing pop up because we need to add 2019, 2020, 2021. Okay. So inside our span, 2019. Oh, and that came in nice and bold 'cause it's in the header. Here we got 2020. And here we've got 2021. So we're starting to sort of very gently feel out how tables work. Let's do just a little bit more on the tables. Does that work? What? This third TH element. Give your third TH element. Okay, this also needs the class. What are you doing? Oh, heck. I love doing boot camps for a lot of reasons, but also because trying very hard not to swear on the screen means that I go through the rest of my week not swearing. The class is set to current. Nest a span element with a class is set to screen roll a year. Do you want it to only say current? Let's cut this. Oh, the current goes in the TH, not the span element. I wish you are absolutely durably correct. I'm just out here refusing to read instructions, and Mitch is out here being a hero. There we go. Little tiny baby mistakes can't hurt us, even though I am kind of a little tiny baby. So here, what we're doing is we're building out the body of this. So here, these years are the header, the head. Here, we're going to build out the body. So we're going to get 4 TR elements. And the first thing, we'll have a class set to data. Oh, these 1, heck, 2, 3. And the last one is going to have a class set to total. So I'm going to do 1 or 2 more of the table steps because I want to see the body. So in our first TR, add a TH element. That's going to be a header again. Okay. With the text cache. This is the cache we currently have on hand. Okay. Within our first TR, I'm going to add a TH element. I'm going to add cache. Oh, doesn't lie very well. Wrap all of the text except cache in a span element and the class set to description. Okay. Span. Let's close the span here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to shrink you. And let's close our span. We wanted our class description. Okay. Of the span. Okay. I'm going to check my code because there's still some other things we can do. So we need to set 3 TD elements, but I just want to check our code to see. Okay. So the first one, the first test, pass, but we need our 3 TD elements next. Okay. So TD, 25, 30, and 20. Not a ton of cash if this is a business, but a ton of cash if you're me on this far into the month. TD. 3 of these. So I'm going to copy that and paste it. Add $25, 30, and 28. And this last one's going to have the class be set to current again. And this is really nice. I'm going to stop showing you tables after this to be a meanie and let you try and do it on your own. But look what happens when we resize this. So the tables know that this header and the rows under it and the data cells under it are sort of indelibly linked. We know that this table is a table and that even as we stretch and warp it, it wants the values to be associated with the right headers. So this is pretty cool. I do want to get my little green stripe before we go. I got it. So I'm going to I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm not the bossy y'all, but I'm going to strongly encourage you to work on these on your own. I am skipping ahead to the hard parts. And if you're just joining us, the earlier videos, we go through every single step. We're real gentle. We just get meaner and meaner as the weeks come on. I'm going to protect my coffee from my little cat. I might remove Aria from the keyboard. So sorry. So 28, we're time to style our tables. So we've gone from our HTML. Oh, you know what? I'm going to get rid of the preview for a second. We've gone from our HTML, where our table is already all built out, to coming into the CSS, where we're going to style it. Let's bring that preview back. You all can't see, but right on my desk, there is a very bad cat desperate to have my coffee or unplug my microphone. So there is very low key, high drama going on. Let's bring back our CSS. So we talked a little bit about selectors. Let's create an HTML selector. So this is going to be everything in our HTML. We're going to set a box sizing property to border box. Ma'am, this is my coffee. I'd like to finish it. And just for context, you should never give a cat coffee, I don't think. We're going to set this to border box. That's all very chill. That didn't seem like it did much of anything, but we've got that little green stripe. So we're going to create a body selector. Missy. And we're going to set the font family for everybody in the body. Okay. And this part, this doesn't seem too weird yet, but I promise we're going to get to the weird bit in just a hot second. Somebody was asking if my cat was named Aria. Yeah. So I've got 3 cats, which is too many cats. Don't do like I did. And my boys are named after deprecated HTML elements. So I've got a cat named Blink and a cat named Marquee, which don't exist in HTML. Don't use them, even though I love them. And Aria is just real good at getting into trouble. She makes all trouble accessible to the boys. So she's Aria. Font family. We're going to set that to sans serif. And that just means a font with none of the little like extra wiggles on the ends of letters. Designer friends are somewhere thrashing about in anger because I've described serifs as little wiggles. I'm going to set that to a hex of 0A, 0A, 23. Okay, and that kind of still feels like black to me, but my font family property is set to sans serif. Sans serif. Okay, and as soon as we saw the S come on here, we saw all the fancy little wiggles, the little on the tips of the C. We've got all those fancy little wiggles just got cut off. Sans serif, very, very straightforward. We got our little, let's keep going. So we want to make a screen reader only class. Remember that we used this a couple times in our index when we were making our table. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to take the elements that are tagged with the screen reader only class, and we're going to make them invisible to users who are not using assistive technology. And you might think there's a temptation to say, "Oh, let's add a little treat, let's add a little Easter egg, let's add some secret messages just for screen reader people." Let's not do that. This is a balance sheet. They just want to access what they want to access. So, look at this. So, we're going to target spans, but only spans that have the class of screen reader only. So this feels a little different from the way we usually do this. And it is just a little different. And because it's a little different, I'm going to type it instead of copying it just so it sticks in my head better. Won't. My class, and then this. Okay, I am going to copy it because I'm using a keyboard that I do not know where the tilde is. Class is equal to. And if you have to copy and paste this, if you forget this, that's okay. It happens. It's not going to hurt you. Looking up syntax, super normal. So this is going to select what we're doing is saying, hey, CSS, look for all of the span classes. Wait. Not all of them. Look for the span classes. Look for all of the spans. So look for all of the span elements where the class is set to screen reader. Only these, please. And for the rule I want to set for only these specific ones, is I want to set the border to 0. Huh. So that's passed, but I bet we're not done yet. Just a reminder that you can donate. I promise I donate somewhere else. It's just I leave this up so it pops up. So the clip path determines where the clip property should go. Okay. I'm going to stop my sharing for a second. And I'm going to do this so that I can grab, where am I? Is it this one? Yeah. So I'm going to do this so I can go, because here, the clip path property determines the shape the clip property should take. What the heck is the clip property? Let's go and check. Okay, clip path. And this doesn't seem super helpful. It says the same thing over again. Oh, Cesium makes a good point. And the wiggle equals means includes screen reader only, not just screen reader only. Thank you. Y'all are patient as anything with me. So here, we've got some good examples. Let's change this. Here we've got it set to 40%. What happens if I change that to 90%? Okay, so it gets less circly if I set it to circle 90%. Polygon 10. What happens? Oh, it kind of turns it into, okay. So when it says clip, it really means where it's cutting around. So really clip like scissors. Okay. This technical language is kind of scary, but MDN having this built-in playground really makes that a little bit less weird. Let's come back. And here, our clip path is going to be set to inset 50%, and that's going to make a little rectangle within the element. Okay. Oh, heck. I just wanted to show you that because we're going to see a lot of things we haven't seen before, and a lot of times the language is really hard. So, and let inset, taking a minute to look at the docs and try and see if we, So it said it's a rectangle, but, oh, set clip path. Oh, I need to send rectangle 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel. This is a really good point. So V says, look, I've been working with CSS for 4 years, and this is the first time I've ever seen this property. CSS is so big, you are not wrong. So clip property. Oh, heck, I completely missed the other instructions. I'm so sorry. So here it explicitly says set a clip property to say rectangle, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel, 1 pixel. And this is the language we saw before. So we've done this one time before where we set stuff to be invisible to non-screen readers. But last time we just copied and pasted it. This time we're actually sort of reasoning through it. I tend to still copy and paste it. Width is 1 pixel. I set a height to 1 pixel. I think unless something new has gone wrong, something new has gone wrong. I did set a height property to 1 pixel. Oh, pixel spelled X, isn't it? That's fine. And now we're going to set our overflow property to hidden and the white space to no wrap. And here it says, hey, go ahead and overflow over this element and don't wrap it. Don't move it around places. So I'm really saying, hey, I don't want any border on this. I want you to turn it into a rectangle as teeny as you can. I want you to make that even smaller. Clip that 1 pixel in half. I want you to make the height and width as small as I can possibly get them. And now, overflow, floor, set to hidden. I'm going to say white space. That's saying, hey, the white space that my element has, I don't want you to wrap that around. Code, everything's fine. So we're going to give the position property absolute, a padding property. And remember, padding's the space inside your element and margin's the space outside. I think of padding as either the bubble wrap inside a package or the chub inside your cheeks. And margin is how far you need to push away, how much personal space your element needs. So here we're going to set the position to absolute. So don't move this around. Amazing. And now we're going to set the padding to 0, a margin of -1. Is it 0 pixels or just 0? Okay. By default, it's pixels, so it can't hurt us. Margin, I set that to -1. But we can see that these years that were up here, they're gone. They're like gone. Wait, did I spell absolute wrong? Let's never talk about this. Let's never talk about my durable inability to type anything. Hey, everything's fine. So let's go ahead and keep going. We're going to style our table heading. So this is pretty straightforward. This isn't going to hurt us. One, I'm going to set our max width. And we're going to set this to 37.25 REM. Okay. Add a margin property. It's going to be set to 0 in auto. So, hey, we don't need any margin, and you can just automatically set where it sits. Okay. And the padding property, and remember the margin is the personal space your element needs. The padding is the space inside your element. And the padding here is going to be 1.5 rem and 1.25 rem. But whoop, 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 jump up as it got more and more information. Check our code. Everything's fine. And we're going super fast. I'm so sorry if this is a little bit too fast for folks. We're to target our flex container with an H1 flex selector. Okay, so we've got an H1, and we're only going to touch a flex container in there. Okay, I'm going to move you back up. So we're going to set where am I? Who am I? Who are we? I'm going to drag this a little longer, shrink this a tiny bit. Display property set to flex. That okay. And then I'm going to set the flex direction to column reverse. And let's remember that row by default is if you're using a left to right language like English or French or Dutch, the default is to set, so the default is always row. And if the language you're using in your text is left to right, the default is that the row will go to left to right. If you're using a right to left language like Persian or Arabic, uh, that'll be reversed. But by default, it's row left to right. Row reverse is right to left. Column is up to down by default, and column reverse, I think that's bottom to top. Okay. Flex. It's going to be column reverse. And then we're going to set a gap property. There's going to be gaps between these elements to 1 rem. Oh, there's a little jump there. I feel okay. We got that little tiny green box. Pseudo selector, pseudo selector, pseudo selector. So pseudo selectors are, and if you've, especially for non-native English speakers, pseudo is such a good word. Pseudo means fake. You say, okay, Jess, why are you making me learn about fake CSS selectors? This seems weird. And good news, this is so weird. So a pseudo selector is like a nickname for selectors that don't really exist. You say, what? Jess, what? What? I say, hang on. Two things. The first one is we can think about this as a nickname for groups of selectors or selectors that only exist in specific contexts. And I'll explain a bit more. So if you've got a bunch of friends, but you say, oh, I only want to talk about my best friends, you might say, oh, my besties. And a bestie might be sort of a pseudo selector, a shorthand or nickname that selects a subsection of these selectors. Or you might want to say, hey, y'all. And you could have a ton of friends and some of them could be your besties, but you could be saying, talking only to people in this room. And you could say, hey, y'all do this thing. And y'all here would kind of be a pseudo selector for people. I'm saying, hey, not everybody I know, not all my friends, not even all my besties, just all of y'all who are in this room. So the first thing is we can think about it as a nickname for groups or temporary conditions of selectors. The other thing is pseudo selectors are hard. And the best way to learn them is just to play with them until suddenly you go, oh, this makes sense. And I didn't even notice when this started making sense. So pseudo selectors, think of them as nicknames, but also I'm sorry in advance. They're just going to be hard until they're not hard. But the first of type pseudo selector is not our hardest pseudo selector. This one might be okay. This one might not hurt us. And this is used to target the first element that matches the selector. Okay. So first of type, and pseudo selectors always have this little dot dot. It's very, very friendly. And that's sort of a, hey, CSS, I'm going to be using a pseudo selector. I got a nickname for somebody I want you to go find. And first of type is going to say, hey, within this parent, I want you to go get the first. So we're going to say our H1, our flex box within our H1, go and find the first span you can find. Okay. So span elements, this is all super hard all at the same time. So we've got span elements here on our page. spans and spans. And you might say, okay, so it's going to be that first one at the top of the page. But remember, we just set our flex to be row reverse, so top to bottom. So when I say go find the first one you could find, it's going to be the first one reversed. Isn't this terrible? Isn't this horrible? I intentionally asked for this one because I'm mean. So let's copy this and see how it feels. So I want H1 flex span first of type. So H1, we just did this. H1 selectors can't hurt us. We're used to this. And then the span, oh, wait, no, the flex, I say, hey, I want to target the flex container that belongs to this H1. Okay, we've done this a couple times. So this is still not great, but okay. And now it gets weird. So now I say span first of type. Give me that first span first. So it's with hyphens of type. Whenever we don't know what's going on, we've got 3 different things we can do. We can ask somebody who knows, but that, I mean, and there's the Discord, there's the forum, or you can look it up, and that's satisfying too. Or you can get weird. And me, I want to say, hey, I want to see what this looks like. I want to really, I'd like to sort of draw, I'd like to highlight what's going on here. So this is, the instructions are telling me to change the font size, but I want to do something a little louder. I'll take this away. I'm just experimenting. On our background color, background ground, set this to pink. That didn't seem to do anything. How about just color? That doesn't seem to do anything either. So maybe I've done something silly. H1 flex span first of type selector. So visually, this will be the second element on my page. Oh, I was just too scrolled down. Okay, so our H1s have a flex arrangement, and the flex arrangement is reverse column, so bottom to top. So when I said make the first of type of items in our flex box with our H1, it went here and said, oh, I'm reading from the bottom up, so I'm going to make this pink. Okay. Weird. You say, Jess, when is this going to make sense? I say, oh, in the future. Does that mean that lots of things are just mysterious until you've used them long enough? So that was much more subtle than turning it pink. I'm glad I turned it pink first. Let's go to our next. And these are just going to continue to be hard. So selecting first of type, and if we had 10 children in this element, if we have 10 items in here, it would still do the very, very first one, which is on the bottom. But here we've just got 2, so it's a little bit less striking. Ooh. I'm just going to slow down for a second because I think this is so good. Mitch, I might steal this. I'm going to screenshot this for better theft later. Of course, I will cite you if I don't forget. I'll forget. So Mitch suggests, hey, I like to think about setting pseudo selectors as existing within a part of a sentence. So the selectors are the noun, like an H1 or a div. Well, the pseudo selectors are an adjective, or even an adverb sometimes. That's so good. I love this. Thank you. So the noun, what the thing is, and then we've got either the adjective or the adverb, however you want to think of it, what's happened or how it's described. Midge. Oh, you know what? I might retire and make Mitch teach instead. Free me. So we're going to do last of type in the exact same way. So we did H1. Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful way to describe that. And here we're going to do our span again. And here our pseudo selector is the last of type. And I'm going to make you, as much as I can make it, don't do anything. I'm going to make you guess, what is the last of type going to target in our column reverse list? We're going to make this bigger. We're going to set our font size. And you say, Jess, this is really hard and weird. As I know, right? Isn't it great? Oh, by default, it says pixels until I say EM. Oh, and because this column is reversed, the last item in this flex container is actually the top. Oh, it's very difficult and stressful, but we've got our little green stripe and the understanding will come. So we wrapped our table in a section element. So now we can style that table. We can give it a border. So, if you're using Word or Office Libra, you've got the option to make tables in a word processor, and some of them are borderless like this, and some of them have little lines drawn around them. This is saying, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and draw a line around it. So we're going to select all of our sections. Okay. Oh, come back, come back. We're going to give it a max width of how many? 40 REM. And this just means that as you stretch your viewport, that your table's not going to go a bazillion miles long. Bazillion being a technical term. It's our margin, so the personal space this needs, it needs 0 personal space. We're going to do auto to center it. Now we're going to draw a little border. Set our border, and that border is going to be 2 pixels thick. It's going to be solid, which I think is very exciting. And by default, it wants to draw us a very dark black one. By default, it does black, but we want to go ahead and set this to the hex of D0, D0, D5, which is a much more subtle gray. I think that's very classy. To come down and check our code, everything's fine. It's just CSS. It can't hurt us. So the last part of our table heading is our years. Where am I? Last part of our table heading. Where are you, table heading? Is this you? Let's find. So we're going to justify. Oh, we're going to make it sticky. So I'm going to use years, and that's going to be the ID selector. And it's always a little mean where it tells us what to do without telling us the syntax, isn't it? So it's going to enable flexbox. So I think display flex, I bet. Oh, so that did. We saw those squished together. Justify the content to the end of the flex direction. I don't remember how to do that, but justify content, end of flex direction. Oh, justify content, flex end. Okay. And do you know what? We've got a couple of different. Ramon is pretending that he has to look this up too. He's lying. He's always good at stuff. He pretends not to know, but he's got a good guide. He's going to go and get for us. I want to check our code, and the reason I wanted to check our code, even though I knew it wouldn't pass, is I wanted to see what line of instructions it told us we needed. Look at this. Check out this guide for Flexbox. It's css-tricks.com/snippets/a-guide-2-flexbox. So here I just wanted to see which instruction line. And here, these two worked just fine. But here we want to set our position to C. Okay, I'm going to check my code again. Oh, it gives us some hints. Our test not passing gives us some great hints. So top property, So here in the instructions, fix it to the top of the container. Well, that makes quite a bit of sense. Top 0. I think this might just work. And while I'm going to keep going, I'm conscious that we've got about 15 minutes left before I have to go and work jobs. So if you all have any questions as I'm sort of continuing, go ahead and start dropping your questions in the chat, and I will joyously take a look at what y'all need. So let's get some color. Oh, this is not so bad. This is not going to hurt us. Here we've got our color. I'm going to set that to, because remember you can use 3 code hexes. Set that to FFF. Seems suspiciously like black. And now we're going to set the background color. Oh, I'm going to spell this right. We're going to set that to hash 0. I remember this color being very close to black. I am not a designer, so for me, this looks like the exact same color. I'm going to check our code. I think these years look pretty squished up. I think it's because we're not giving these. They still look pretty squished up. I bet maybe we'll fix these. Go to our next challenge. A function, a function. So we're going to do more functions when we do CSS animation, but we're also, so one question I get a lot is, can I become a web developer if I just do HTML and CSS? Yes, but it's a bit harder to find a job. So I do know developers who are great at HTML, great at CSS, but it can be really helpful to learn JavaScript. And functions are going to come up in JavaScript all the time. So here, let's, the calculation function. Oh, I see a really good question. I'm starring it. I'll get to you in just a second. So this is going to calculate a value based on other values. And this is just saying, hey, go get these other numbers and do some math, please. So for example, this below will calculate the width of the viewport minus the margin of the element. So I'm going to set a margin to 10 pixels, and then the width is set to 100% minus 20 pixels. Okay. Oh, this looks really hard and scary, but I think it's giving us the syntax really plainly so it can't hurt us. So we're in years, we're in the years selector. We have a margin of 0 and minus 2 pixels. Okay, so it doesn't need any personal space at all, does it? And a padding, and do you know what? It's cheating a little bit, but I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to set the padding to 0.5, 0.5 REM. We're going to calculate, we're going to do this math. And the math we're asking you to do is say, hey, take 1.25 REM and then add an extra 2 pixels. Okay. And remember that when you set all 4 values for padding, it goes clockwise. So 0.5 at the top. I think this is going to set the calc to the right. So the right padding is going to be set to 1.25 plus 2 pixels. The bottom should be set to 0.5. And then the left should be set to 0 if I'm right. And the nice thing is I'm very rarely right. It's a very relaxing way to live. I'm gently cautious that this might work, and it didn't. I'm pretty sure that's what I said, 0.5. You know what, y'all? I think I probably just typed something wrong. That still looks the same to me. That was definitely a typo, wasn't it? Okay. So I do have a really good question here. Got someone saying, hey, do you know what? In this, we have a set of tests to guide us so we remember everything, and so that one step doesn't mess up future tests. But is this something that exists in the real world? So here we've got all of these tests written, and we know when something bad happens. So really, this feels like two questions to me. So say, hey, this sort of developing things in a testing framework, is that real? Does that happen in the real world? And then another question is, hey, within this tutorial environment, it saves as we go, and it means that we can't mess up any past steps. Does that exist in the real world? And I have exciting news. Both of these are teaching us really, really good concepts. So the idea of writing your tests first, and right now we don't really have the skills to write good tests, and that's okay. So later on, when we learn JavaScript or later on when we learn more web development, we can get to a point where we write our tests. And Ramon, remind me, do we learn some about writing tests in the next one? Oh, amazing. Um, Ramon, I'm going to beg you to drop that into the other chats as well. So Free Code Camp actually has a guide to test driven development. And I love this question from Catfish because what you're asking is, hey, I like this test arrangement. Can I have this in the real world? And yes, test driven development is absolutely what you're looking for as a concept. But then this idea, how can I keep developing and knowing that future changes won't screw up my work? This is where version control, stuff like Git, comes in handy. So let me go get, oh, heck. Oh, there's too many windows open. Why do I live like this? Let's go to YouTube. Because we learned a little bit about how to. So Git is a version control system. It's like time travel for submitting your code, for saving your code, which is especially useful when you might need to work with other people. So here's a session we did with a partner, how to get GitHub. And GitHub isn't the only application for using version control or using Git, but it's one of the more popular ones. But also, oh wait, I've got a glorious colleague. Ramon, could I get you to grab the session with Rizal as well and drop that in the chat if it's not a bother? So yes, both of these concepts exist in the real world. The writing your test first is called test-driven development, and it's such a good practice. And making sure that your future mistakes can't mess up your past work is called version control. And it's not perfect. So you can still accidentally lose your work sometimes. It happens, but it makes it a lot safer. Amazing. Are there any other questions I can answer for folks? Otherwise, so adding the position sticky moved the element into its own stack to ensure. Oh, have we already learned about the Z index? I love the Z index. The Z index is so chaotic. If we haven't, we'll talk about it very briefly. Ramon, did you teach the Z index at all yet? Oh no, we haven't learned about Z index yet, and I don't have a pile of books on my table. So Z index. We're going to set that to 99. Hmm. Hmm. I might cheat and talk to you all about more about the Z index later, just because I usually have a stack of books behind me and I don't have them now. But the Z index is specifying where in a stack, like a stack of pancakes, that you want a specific element to go. So if you want it to be on top and always show on your webpage, you have a ZX index of 0 or a Z index of -1. So the lower a number is, wait, am I lying? It's the reverse, isn't it? The higher number's on top, the lower number's on bottom, isn't it? See? Okay. Oh, this is quite good. So this is showing us the Z index. Cesium's is making a really good point. Cesium's saying that they think it's the higher number goes on top of the stack. And I think you might be right. Oh, and we've got a recent video from the Chrome team. That's helpful as heck. Oh, who's in that video? I'm going to check later. So here, this shows us, we could change this yellow box is going to be the one we change. And I'm going to change the Z index of, I'm going to change it to 99. Oh, so since all of these, we've got Z index of 1, 3, 5, 7, 99 is a bigger number than all of those. CCM, you are absolutely right. So it came way to the top. But if I say I'm going to set the Z index of this to 4, we see that it's on top of 1 and 3, but that 4 and 6 are still on top of it because 4 and 4 are crashing. It says, okay, if I'm not sure if both of them have the same Z index, I'm going to show you the one, I'm going to draw them in order that they appear on the HTML. Yeah. Okay, cool. Oh, it's from Una and Adam. How fun. So I'm going to come back to this lesson. We're going to check our code just to get that one last little yay, good job. Yay, good. I think Ramo would do a pat because he's a nicer teacher, and I just sing in my heart. Oh, do we want to do one more? Do we want to do one more, and then I'll ask you one more? So we're going to grab our year's ID. We're going to get a span. Ooh, this, we haven't done this yet. This is super cool. So last time we did this, we set a span. We got a span and grabbed spans with specific classes, the screen reader only class. But here I said, hey, babe, because I'm very informal when I talk to my HTML. I said, hey, I want you to go and get me anything in the year ID that is a span that has any kind of class, regardless of what the class is. I want anybody who belongs to a club. Oop. Oh, Ramon says, hey, the square bracket's going to feel familiar because we did this with input types a couple lessons ago. Okay. I mean, I slept late that day, so I'm forgotten them a bit. We're going to set our font to bold, the font family to bold. You know what? Let's check our code and see if it wanted font or font family. You know what? It's not giving us any complaints about how we did the font. Wait, I should have the year. I do have a year span class selector. Years. Okay, font weight, not font family. That makes a lot of sense. Code. Okay, now we can set our width and align our text, and then I will escape. So, our width. Oh. Of REM. Let's set text align to right. ALI. And we check our code. What? You can't have a space. Okay, so that has actually worked. Everything is fine. And now I will be done for real because I'm making more typos than are actually good for me. So we're going to see. So we skipped all of these because I'm terrible. We skipped all of these because I'm mean. And now there's even more that you have to do on your own. Ugh, brutal, savage, unnecessary. So your homework, if it's not a bother, is see how much of this you can get through. If you're up to this. If you're just joining us, go on back and work on some of the older lessons first. Don't jump right into this. This is stressful and weird. Cecia makes such a good point to say this is one of the harder lessons. And I think we might go ahead and take a look at maybe in future ones, spending two lessons on this one as well. Yeah. So remember the forums here, the discords here. Let's grab that. If you want to hang out with us in the forum, it's bit.ly bwc bootcamp forum. And on the Discord, it's bit.ly bwc discord invite. Yeah, we are going to be around. And even if you finish everything and it still doesn't feel like it makes sense, it's okay. It'll make more sense later. I promise. What a strange promise. Your homework is to go ahead and try and get a little bit more of this done. And your most important homework is, of course, to be as gentle as yourself until our next lesson. Like, all of this is super hard. Yeah. You might as well give yourself a break while you study it. I'm going to be coming right back in about 10 hours, and I'm going to come back for the Couchbase partner stream because we're going to be adding some CSS and sort of taking our second Free Code Camp certification project, which was the tribute page. And we're going to be styling that out and making it work as a real life deployable web page. It's going to be a lot less hard and a lot less stressful than when we did the forms, but it's completely optional. I will let every single one of you go, hopefully to have a very laid back day. Bye, my lovely.